Hey guys, how you going? I recently watched a video on the Prager University YouTube channel called "Does Science Argue For or Against God?" And to be fair, it's just like a lot of other pro-God videos. It's all about, yes, it's impossible, so otherwise how else could it have happened? We don't know, therefore God, and all that kind of bullcrap. So let's just get straight into it, shall we?
In 1966,
1966.
Time magazine ran a cover story asking, "Is God dead?" The cover reflected the fact that many people had accepted the cultural narrative that God is obsolete, that as science progresses, there's less need for a God to explain the universe. It turns out, though, that the rumors of God's death were premature.
For something to die, it has to exist, right?
In fact, perhaps the best arguments for his existence come from, of all places, science itself.
Science just explains the known universe. It does not make any sort of assertions or explanations or arguments to say that there is a God.
Here's the story. The same year Time featured its now famous headline, the astronomer Carl Sagan announced that there were two necessary criteria for a planet to support life.
Yes, and those parameters still continue through to today. Next.
The right kind of star, and a planet the right distance from that star. Given the roughly octillion planets in the universe, that's one followed by 24 zeros, there should have been about septillion planets, that's one followed by 21 zeros, capable of supporting life. With such spectacular odds, scientists were optimistic that the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, known by its initials SETI, an ambitious project launched in the 1960s, was sure to turn up something soon.
And with that condescending stare, I feel like you're about to say no.
With a vast radio telescopic network, scientists listened for signals that resembled coded intelligence. But as the years passed, the silence from the universe was deafening.
Okay, I can tell that you don't quite understand the idea that not everyone communicates in the same way. Aliens might not have developed a language or culture, but are still, present. Just because we cannot detect intelligent life does not mean there isn't any. For all we know, they could be talking through smoke signals or something like that. Just because they do not use radio waves and light waves to communicate like we do, does not mean they do not exist. In fact, it is statistically impossible for us to be the only things in the universe.
As of 2014, researchers have discovered precisely bupkis, nada, zilch, which is to say zero followed by an infinite number of zeros.
Are you going to be, producing any links? Because a lot of the other scientists and professors that host themselves on Prager University channel generally provide links to outside verified sources that demonstrate their argument and the scientific fact that they're trying to prove. So, citation, please?
What happened? As our knowledge of the universe increased, it became clear that there were, in fact, far more factors necessary for life, let alone intelligent life, than Sagan supposed. His two parameters grew to 10, then 20, and then 50.
What? No, the parameters did not increase at all. That did not happen.
Which meant that the number of potentially life-supporting planets decreased accordingly. The number dropped to a few thousand planets and kept on plummeting.
Remember last year, or 2 years ago, one of the two, the Kepler Space Telescope discovered 1,700 planets in the one go? Now, following your logic, none of those planets should be able to support life. However, from those readings, there have been at least 10 documented planets that can support life, that meet the parameters that you have just made up.
Even SETI proponents acknowledge the problem. Peter Schenkel wrote in a 2006 piece for Skeptical Inquirer,
2006,
a magazine that strongly affirms atheism, in light of new findings and insights, we should quietly admit that the early estimates may no longer be tenable.
Eric, your good friend Peter Schenkel is a political scientist. His actual statement is, in light of new findings and insights, it seems appropriate to put excessive euphoria to rest and to take down... In light of new findings and insights, it seems appropriate to put excessive euphoria to rest and to take a more down-to-earth view. Earth may be more special and intelligence much rarer in the universe than previously thought. That's the actual quote. Please do more research. This took me 2 seconds. I do not understand how you could have missed that. Now, you said that the Skeptical Inquirer is a atheist magazine that firmly approves of atheism. Just because a Christian posted this in a magazine does not mean it is therefore science proves God. That is not how it works at all.
Today, there are more than 200 known parameters necessary for a planet to support life.
200 plus parameters? I'm gonna go back to earlier and say citation, please.
Every single one of which must be perfectly met or the whole thing falls apart.
That is specific to our planet. Not every other planet will react the same way to ours. Other planets have stronger gravity, weaker gravity. They might not have a Jupiter or a moon. There are a lot of things that come into play when determining if life could exist. Just because they do not have the same factors and characteristics as our unique planet does not mean life cannot exist.
For example, without a massive gravity-rich planet like Jupiter nearby to draw away asteroids, Earth would be more like an interstellar dartboard than the verdant orb that it is.
I mean, you kind of have a point here, but that does not single out every single goddamn planet in the galaxy, let alone universe.
Simply put, the odds against life in the universe are astonishing.
Okay, hold up. It's statistically impossible for us to be the only life forms in the galaxy. Have you ever done your research into this topic? There are astonishing odds against life, yes, but the odds that we are the only ones are non-existent. We cannot be the only ones in this galaxy or universe.
Yet, here we are, not only existing, but talking about existing. What can account for it? Can every one of those many parameters have been perfectly met by accident?
And you use the word accident as if it's a bad thing. I mean, if you really think about it, the fact that this world has come together completely by accident, by chance, just makes it so much more beautiful, don't you think?
At what point is it fair to admit that it is science itself that suggests that we cannot be the result of random forces?
Oh, mate, that's a loaded question. Science does not suggest that we cannot be the result of random forces. It says that we are the result of chance.
Doesn't assuming that an intelligence created these perfect conditions in fact require far less faith than believing that a life-sustaining Earth just happened to beat the inconceivable odds?
That is just another loaded question. Let's start off with the fact that there's no faith in atheism. It's the lack of faith. It doesn't make a positive claim that God doesn't exist. It's a lack of belief that a God exists. There's a big difference between the both of them. However, in this particular context, my lack of belief tells me to look at the data, and the data tells me that the Earth beat the odds. That does not require any faith. That requires an understanding.
But wait, there's more. The fine-tuning necessary for life to exist on a planet is nothing compared with the fine-tuning required for the universe to exist at all.
Fuck. You got me. Oh my god. It's so unlikely that the universe could exist. Oh wait, no. It's not unlikely that the universe could exist. It's the universe as we know it. Huh. Who would have guessed?
For example, astrophysicists now know that the values of the four fundamental forces, gravity, the electromagnetic force, and the strong and weak nuclear forces, were determined less than 1/1,000,000th of a second after the Big Bang. Alter any one of these four values ever so slightly, and the universe as we know it could not exist. For instance, if the ratio between the strong nuclear force and the electromagnetic force had been off by the tiniest fraction of the tiniest inconceivable fraction, then no stars could have formed at all. Multiply that single parameter by all the other necessary conditions, and the odds against the universe existing are so heart-stoppingly astronomical.
It would still exist, just not as we know it.
That the notion that it all just happened defies common sense.
But common sense, let's start off with the fact that it is not objective, just like morality. It's one of the favorite things that Christians like to argue about. Oh, if there's no God, how can we have morals? Because it's not fucking objective. Shut the fuck up, you little cunt. Okay, common sense. Let's talk about that, shall we? To me, it does not make much sense for you to go around saying, oh, hey, look at me. My deity is the greatest because without him, Earth could not have been the way it is. And you're right. Without the Christian deity, we might be far more advanced. However, thanks to your shitty religion, we have been held back and we are effectively in the galactic Stone Age. Now to the more pressing issue. To me, the idea that an ethereal sky daddy exists and dictates and wills everything that happens on Earth does not make a lot of common sense. It's very nonsensical, actually.
It would be like tossing a coin and having it come up heads 10 quintillion times in a row.
I mean, the expected probability of it landing on heads 10 quintillion times in a row is very, very statistically unlikely, but it is there. It can happen. But what's your argument?
I don't think so. Fred Hoyle, the astronomer who coined the term Big Bang, said that his atheism was greatly shaken by these developments.
Citation, please. I mean, this quote that you've just given us by Fred Hoyle does not exist anywhere else that I can find in about a minute or two on the internet. However, Fred Hoyle rejected the idea of the Big Bang. I'm having a quick look at a website right now. He proposed the theory of the steady state of the universe. He does not propose the idea of the Big Bang. He coined the term steady state. Next.
One of the world's most renowned theoretical physicists, Paul Davies, has said that the appearance of design is overwhelming.
Yes, he did say that. Because, lo and behold, our good friend Paul Davies is a creation scientist. Who would have guessed?
Even the late Christopher Hitchens, one of atheism's most aggressive proponents, conceded that without question the fine-tuning argument was the most powerful argument of the other side.
Yes, Christopher Hitchens says that it is one of the most powerful arguments for the other side. However, the actual quote is, at some point, certainly, we are all asked which is the best argument you have come against with the other side. I think every one of us picks the fine-tuning one as most intriguing. Even though it doesn't prove design, doesn't prove a designer, the fine-tuning could have all happened without a god. You'd have to spend time thinking on it, working on it. Just because Christopher Hitchens, a renowned atheist, said that, does not make it true that God exists.
Oxford University professor of mathematics, Dr. John Lennox, has said, the more we get to know about our universe, the more the hypothesis that there is a creator gains in credibility as the best explanation of why we are here.
Oh, mate. You got me convinced. A Christian apologist who says that the hypothesis of a creator gains in credibility. Oh, that's convincing. I am now a Christian. All hail Jesus. Praise to Jesus. Yes.
The greatest miracle of all time is the universe. It is the miracle of all miracles, one that inescapably points to something or someone beyond itself.
Citation, please? Can you prove this? Or is this just another I don't know, therefore God argument?
I'm Eric Metaxas for Prager University.